place for horological hot takes, taboo topics, and often unpopular watch opinions. My name is Schmidt, and as always, I'm joined by my good buddy. You guys know him, you love him, Mr. Bro Dinky. Bro, what's going on, my friend?
I'm pretty bushed, buddy. Had a long day,
Okay.
put in a long day's work. Had to go to a birthday party afterwards, but yesterday, spent a lengthy time outdoors in the pool with the kiddos, and it gets compounded because when you're in the pool with a bunch of kids and you have a drink in your hand, it's like double. It wears on you two times. I mean, it wasn't crazy
Yeah.
sunny here because that's like triples if you get crazy amounts of sun in addition to that.
Yeah,
But it
yeah,
was it was
yeah.
pretty temperature, was pretty decent out. But if you've ever gone to a pool party and you have small children, you and your spouse have to do the thing where you 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 gonna go in? You gonna go in? You gonna go in? Well, one of us
Yep.
has to go in. All right. Well,
Yep.
like we'll just bring our suits and we'll decide then. All right. So, we get there and short straw. I get in.
Mm-hmm. No
Um,
drinking for you.
oh, I still got it in. I just
Mhm.
you got to pick your spots.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, every kid there was like, I don't know, 7 and under, but they're older, my kids' older cousins who are, in that range about 7. I was showing them how you do the thing where one person goes underwater and then you stand on their shoulders, and then when they stand up you springboard off.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, and it was like the first time they ever did that, so they thought it was like the greatest thing on earth, and now I got a line of kids.
At least you didn't get roped into doing the dad launch where like you start launching kids in the air.
Well, that's what no, I was doing that. I was the person who was bending down.
Oh, I thought you showed them how to do it to themselves.
No, no, I
Okay, I'm
showed
sorry.
I was
Yes,
the
okay.
demo, and then
You
after
got
that
you got
that
yeah,
was
you got
it.
roped in. You
Yeah.
got roped in the dad launch. Okay. That makes more sense now.
So I was a very popular hit at this party, but it
Yeah,
was,
yeah,
quite exhausting.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
But a good time had by all.
At least you got a workout.
Yes, for sure, for sure. That, and then I like I said, and then I worked a long day today, so it did not help. But here we are,
Doing the thing, doing the
doing the
thing.
thing, doing the thing. How have you been, my friend?
I've been good, man. Like you spent my weekend with the fam. Did some yard work and everything today. Over the weekend, took my kids to the pool basically every single day. Got too sunburnt. Spent some time in the water. Pro Prof is looking pretty good poolside these days.
Oh yeah,
So that's good. It's all about the summer swag wrist game. But no, it's been fun, man. Getting ready for another week of travel, so that'll be interesting to see where I end up and what's going on this week. But glad to be here.
yeah, yeah. And so before we jump into things, an interesting phenomenon which was brought to our attention by somebody and strangely not by anybody I know. Um, and again, I don't know how widespread this issue was because, like I said, nobody brought it to my attention on my end. But in listening to the episode, somebody had congratulated you on monetizing our podcast, and I said,
Yes, yes,
and you sent that to me, and I said, what?
yeah.
And you said, yeah, these people I know got an ad like
Mm-hmm.
inserted into the playback.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
you have listened to every episode. I have
yes,
listened back to every episode,
yes.
right? And not privately on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts.
Correct.
And I've never once heard anything like this, which
No,
I find super sketchy.
it was very weird. It was brought to my attention by a good buddy that listens to the show avidly. So he listens every single week, and he's like, "Hey, man, like, congratulations! Thanks for monetizing the podcast. Looks like you guys are going somewhere." And I'm like, "Oh, great!" And I thought he was
But
joking
he's
at first
pulling your
because,
leg. Yeah.
yeah, because we were talking
What
about McDonald's and all that stuff in the last episode. So I was like, okay, maybe he's pulling my leg a little bit because we've been talking a lot about brands and that kind of stuff. And I was like, yes. He's like, appreciate the jokes. He's like, what jokes? I'm like, about the monetization of the podcast. He's like, yeah, well, you guys are running ads now. I was like, what ads are you talking about? He's like the ads at the beginning before your show actually starts. And so I frantically went back and played the episode, and I hear nothing.
Yeah,
I'm starting to text bro here, and he hears nothing.
nada.
And then my buddy sends me a clip of the playback, and sure enough, there's an ad for like a Dragon Ball Z fighter game or downloadable content something. And I'm like, did I miss something? Is somebody making money off of us?
Yeah, and I'm scratching my head and I'm like, maybe it got inserted upon crossing a milestone,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
I mean, I've definitely mentioned Dragon Ball Z somewhere in our ramblings on here, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
I can't imagine that it does.
I know, but it's just so random.
It is so strange
That
to
and
me.
I would like to know where the ad read money, if there is any, has
Yeah,
gone.
yeah. Because it didn't go to us.
No,
Especially because we were joking last episode that we don't get paid for this, which is
right,
completely
correct,
true. We definitely do not get paid for
which is
this.
hilarious.
But sure enough, somebody's making money off the Rich Shoes Radio
Well,
podcast.
I think I
It just has
saw
happened not to be us.
I think I managed to see that it only played so many times, but like, what the hell? And I think I
Yeah,
found a box to uncheck to like stop that, but just super weird.
yeah,
There was definitely something midweek that I was like, what?
yeah.
Like
I mean,
something
it
extra
was
that,
so weird. It was so weird. So for those of you that listen to this podcast regularly, yeah, drop a line on the DMs or in the comments and let us know if you heard the ads. I'm just curious to see how many people really got it, or if it was like a widespread thing. Because I reached out to a few people having found out about it, and they all confirmed that they had heard it too. So I'm
interesting.
just curious to see if it's as widespread as I think it might have been. So let us know.
Yeah, super weird, but just something I wanted to get off the schneid here before we got rolling.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so we got a pretty good list of new stuff this week. Before we get into that, a quick word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Cheese Away, the non-irritating, quick-acting, rich-wash de-cheeser. A quick spray will keep your timepiece looking fresh all day long. Cheese Away, the cheese stands alone.
There we go. Go buy it.
Anyways, so getting into new stuff. Something that somebody actually just sent me, I had no idea, and it's pertinent because I had put up a post about how I was wearing the resin Seiko in the pool all day long yesterday with kicking kids and
Mm-hmm.
everybody, and yeah, it did the job very nicely despite not having a screw down crown and only having
Gee, who would have
whatever
ever
a
thought?
100 meter. But
Like what would have ever happened? Man.
but it handled getting kicked by kids and whatever else very nicely. And so somebody sent me a picture, and it looks like there are more models either on the horizon or available now. So before we had a couple that had sort of that white case,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Mm-hmm.
was like blue and green. Now they have entire blue and green matte models, like completely like the gray one that we have, but it's blue or green and also a black. And those ones look really cool. They also
Mm.
look like they added a couple of those white models, one with a brown motif. I can't remember if that one's around not or not, but
Okay. So that's what you meant by this post. Because like I didn't notice anything differently about these photos you sent me. Like that makes more sense now.
yeah, I can't remember how many of these already existed, but definitely all of these extra matte, completely colored models did
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
exist
Mm-hmm.
before. Because the black one looks really good. I'm kind of liking them all, but this is more money I did not need. I,
Gotta catch them all,
I
right?
did not need to spend this kind of dough. No, that was
Yeah.
what I said. I said I didn't need to see this.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah. Yeah.
is what I said to the
Yeah.
person.
Definitely didn't need to see this. And now we're trying to figure out how to import more watches from Australia.
Yeah, I don't know if this is same market or if they're maybe these are going to go widespread. I don't know, but either way, they look good. I'm enjoying it, the one I have. So I would consider maybe getting one more.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I mean, I think anybody who's seen this watch, who's gotten it, has talked about it, how cool it is, just the sheer novelty of it. And like you said, you were putting it through its paces, you know, this weekend doing the whole thing, in the pool and everything with the family, and yet no issues with a watch that doesn't have a screw down crown and a 100 meters of water resistance. So
Right. And a case that is not made of metal.
the only metal part on it is literally the case back.
Yeah, and I think and the crown, I think.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, and the crown and the
which
crown.
is funny. But yeah, no, it does a great job. And I'll be honest, I wear it at work almost every day. It goes in the water, in the heat, anywhere you can imagine. So this thing has taken a licking and it's doing well. I'm really enjoying it. So definitely a cool pickup on that. And like I said, for the price, can you really beat it? That it always baffles me that considering the price of watches these days and even even quartz watches, right? Even quartz Seikos, right? The speed timers and things, they're up in the
Hmm.
$600-700 range. Like for something like this to be under $200 is kind of insane.
Yeah, I mean, very much so. And like you said, everything's been going up, so it's kind of a gem, you know. I wish it was more readily available here in the U.S. for sure.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe it's gonna get its sort of
Debut.
yeah, what it's just desserts, and maybe they'll have seen that people are kind of into it, right? Kind of chattering about it. All right, well maybe they'll do a US only edition, or maybe they'll do a global drop. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm ready for it.
Well, if anybody from Seiko listens to this podcast, bring them. They'll sell. They're gonna sell like crazy, and everyone here will like them. So that's our 2 cents.
For show. Make me a pink one, would you?
Oof. Yes. Yes,
That would
sir.
be fuego.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. So a watch I have neglected to mention for weeks now, and it kind of upsets me because I really like these sort of just from their novelty perspective. Um, Citizen has brought back the bullhead in
Oof.
a limited capacity of sorts recently. I mean, they're all sort of limited editions, and they're all in collaborations with different whether it be like a magazine or a fashion retailer and things like that. But so it's known as the Suno TSUNO chrono model, but we know it as the bullhead. You've seen it on Brad Pitt in
Mm-hmm.
what was the one where he's a stuntman? What is that one? Is Once Upon a Time in
Isn't it?
Mexico?
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Mexico,
Okay,
I think is what it is.
so you've seen this model. It's very popular. It's popular in the vintage markets and things, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a very neat model because it's a configuration you don't really get. And for those who don't know what a bullhead is, right, it's a sort of a standard layout chronograph, but instead of the pushers being on the right side of the case, they're on the top of the case, the pushers
Yeah.
in the crown, which is why it looks like a bull.
Yeah, like little horns.
But it's just neat. It's a neat kind of way to operate it, right? You put your thumb under it and you can operate the pushers with your index and middle finger, which it's just cool. It's a different layout, but it's sort of I don't want to call it legendary, but I think everybody knows of them. And now there are at least four newer models you can get. One of them is sort of an all black dial. One of them is a very vibrant orange, which looks really good with
Yeah.
black accents. There's like a champagne cream dial with black accents and some orange in there, and then a dark blue model with sort of a red, white, and blue motif going on. Perfect for your Fourth of July celebration coming up here in the States. But I've always been a big fan of these, and I really like the bracelets they come on. They sort of look like an expansion bracelet. I don't know if they are or not, but that's the style they're in. I don't think I can't tell,
I mean,
but
regardless, it's a cool looking watch.
it's a cool looking watch. It's been around before. It's well known throughout sort of if you're big into the Citizen Seikos of old days, you can find these in either brand, and they're very cool. So if you're into that, definitely go check those out. I know some of them are as limited as 2,300 units globally. So
Mm-hmm.
and these are 38 millimeters, so not a bad size, 11.7 thick. I mean, they are quartz, I believe, but still nice size, neat package. If this is your bag, definitely hop on that. And the
Yeah.
for me, the orange crushes it. The orange is really, really cool. I'm with it.
Yeah. Yeah. They're good looking and they're funky and it's a throwback and why not? In a world where everybody's got the same dang watches on their Instagram feed, like why not pull out the stops and do something very cool like this?
Yeah, it's neat. It's very neat.
I mean, why not? It's like it's giving me Giugiaro vibes. It's giving me, 70s chrono vibes. I mean, that's exactly what it is, but it's a very, very handsome looking watch. And all the photos that I can find of it online, they look really nice. So why not?
Why not? All right. Orient is finally back with some newer stuff. This is kind of an interesting one because it definitely doesn't really go along with the models before this, but there are some new Mako models out,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they have sort of the steel bezel look to them. Um, Sort of what Seiko's been putting out recently, similar to those. But you're getting black dial, blue dial, white dial, and then you're getting something like a copper and a purple. Surprise. But they
Yeah.
don't really look like the typical Mako.
Yeah, it's very different. Very, very different. And honestly, had I not read the caption on the post, I wouldn't even have thought it was a Mako.
Yeah, it definitely it doesn't look like the Mako layout as much as I'm used to.
It's like a skin diver.
Yeah,
That's
right.
really kind of the best way to describe it, I think. And it's it's like a heritage skin diver. It's got a steel bezel, 39 millimeter case, and kind of open, broadsword hands, almost like Omega-esque, but they come more to like a fence post shape
Yeah.
versus like a true arrow, but good looking, just very different. Very different than what we're used to here in the States.
Yeah, I'm curious what these are going to run because I did not see a price on them.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But much like your Seikos, you're getting sort of an Orient in-house caliber.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
and they've done their work to sort of update their lines with sapphire crystals and things, and now they're bringing
Yeah,
their
yeah.
watches into the future, so that's nice. But definitely a different look. I think I like them. I just like I said, going to depend on price point and everything, but the size isn't bad. The
No, the size is great.
colors they offer aren't bad. Definitely a copper is a nice touch. I like that a
It's
lot.
different. Yeah, it's different. And I'm actually not even afraid of this lilac, this like kind of like lavendery purple.
No, it's very nice. It's the Orient Grimace Shake.
I mean, basically, right? Like that's maybe that's what we should call it. We should call it the Orient Mako Grimace, the Grimace.
Grimace. Very nice. Very nice.
But yeah, no, I think it's gonna be cool if these end up as U.S. market releases, not something that's JDM or something like that specific. I think these will do fairly well because makers are already hits here in the States. It's a great entry level price point timepiece, and I think this is a nice kind of welcome splash of color, which has been synonymous with the watch industry for the last year or so. I think a lot of brands are exploring the fact that you can have colorful dials. We're seeing, I think, kind of that like 70s renaissance of let's just do it, whatever. We don't care, do a crazy color, do a crazy design, and it's going to sell anyway. And then I think in the next 5 years or so, we're going to start to see that cool off and we'll go back to more of a conservative type motif. But at least for now, I'm enjoying the color.
Yeah, we've sort of seen that come and go over time, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely cool. And we know the skin diver has been all the rage in the past year or so. So these kind of fit right in with that, sort of orient reading the room here. But yeah, I mean, this is a very for me the especially the purple. It's a very for somebody if somebody's afraid of a purple dial color, that's a very masculine offering for me with the steel bezel and everything. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
that's something you can get into if you were looking for a little color diversity in your watch dials and things, and you're like, I've seen a lot of purple, right? I've seen everything from a Chapek to a Monaco, but they're all kind of
Yeah.
I don't know if, those are for me. Like, here's a pretty, generic run of the mill skin diver looking watch, and you got a purple dial, and you can get it, looks like you can get it on a NATO Aura bracelet. And it could be sort of just a fun summer wear, and you don't really have to be too self-conscious and or spend a lot of money a la Monaco or Chapek. But,
Yeah. I
you
was
know,
having a discussion with a buddy about a Chapek today, and he's like, "Yeah, it was like probably one of the worst watches I've ever owned."
really?
Yeah, he's like, well, he said he got one of the first like production watches that ever came out a couple years ago, and he had told me, quite frankly, they just weren't ready for the production scale to be as quick and as fast as I think it came, and I don't think that they were just prepared enough for it
So was he
because
was saying the build quality wasn't there or what?
yeah, he's like there was like they had gotten some like introductory stuff and they were one of the first owners, but like when they shipped him his watch, like it was supposed to be personalized a little bit and he got the wrong case back and
Oh no.
like it was this whole thing. It wouldn't keep power reserve and stuff like that. So um basically there was a few different issues um that he had with Chapek, which is probably rectified now, but when you get some of the first watch batches of an indie company, it's probably not unheard of that would happen.
Yeah, and you're certainly paying a hefty price for those. That's
Yeah,
not a
yeah,
cheap
for sure.
watch.
And that's what he said. He's like, I probably wouldn't have done it had I not had some type of incentive introductory price point or whatever. Um, but you know, such is life. He sold it. It's gone.
Well, I guess if you're into that, I mean, didn't Christopher Ward drop like a Chapek-esque, I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, it's a 12.
Yeah, the 12, right? That was it.
Yeah,
I know we
Christopher
we
Ward
kind
12.
of touched on it at one point, but I can't
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
the
we
name.
talked about last episode.
Yep. Yeah. So if you're down for that, I guess you could always get in there. But
I mean, yeah, and at a lot much and a lot more attractive price.
yeah, but it doesn't have the sexy name like Antarctique Passage Day Drake or something. Right? That was the name of that
Yeah,
ice
yeah,
blue
yeah.
one.
The Antarctique. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well,
anyways,
well, I mean that actually kind of brings us to a watch that we hadn't even talked about yet. The new Christopher Ward Atolls that came out.
oh yeah, that's a good point.
And
What
didn't
do you
even
think of
we didn't
those?
even put. I like him. I really do like him. I think maybe it's a trend, but we're starting to see the steel bezel come back into play here because the
Yeah,
Atolls have it as well. I think probably which one my favorite is of the two. But I think both are very handsome watches. Very,
yeah,
very handsome watches. And at under $1,000 US, great size specs, great movement, great brand. I think it's hard not to like it.
yeah. And they come with some really nice looking colored rubbers, which is
Yeah.
also colored rubber sounds funny,
Hmm.
but
I was thinking exactly the same thing. I was like, that
anyway,
sounds a little odd. That's
reminds me
okay.
of
It's fine.
college. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so
Bucket
you get
colored rubbers.
there's one with sort of a turquoisey gradient dial, and then there's one with
Yeah.
a, is that white or silver?
It's like a silver dial, but it has like orange with the strap. So
Yeah,
it's basically a very Spartan colored dial
it's cool. That gives
until you
me
get the strap.
that color combination gives me Planet Ocean feelings.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that. I could definitely see that.
Well,
But my
also because
favorite is that turquoise.
because
Like,
one of my favorite Planet Oceans is that orange bezel.
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The old school.
that was a sweet one. I always like that one.
Yeah, the old school Planet Ocean. I wish it would come back, in that
Somebody
way.
should. It's been a while. Omega, let's go. It's been a while. The Planet Ocean needs some loving, right?
I agree.
That was a
I agree.
monster. That was a beast of a watch, spec wise. Like, just all right, bring it into the future now. It's a moneymaker. It had to have been. It was a damn cool watch. Bond War,
It
right?
it still is a damn cool watch. I mean,
That's what I'm saying, man. Bring
it
that
just
thing to the
hasn't it
present.
just hasn't gotten any love. I mean, the diver 300 meters kind of taking the limelight for a lot of people because for many people that is the quintessential Omega that they remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think more of us in the modern generation we think of Seamaster as like not the Plopro but the Planet Ocean. You know, that's at least the Seamaster that comes to my mind when I think about the Seamaster collection.
Yeah, no, I agree. But just you know what it is, the Planet Ocean was very popular about when I got in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it, to see it cool off was kind of like a shock to me because when I was shopping Pelagos, that orange bezel Planet Ocean was my other big contender
Mm-hmm.
at the time because I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, this thing is a beast, like spec wise. I was like, it's an awesome
Yeah.
diver, and they come in at a very attractive price point secondhand. So I was like, so that was for me a very serious contender when I was looking for that first big boy watch that everybody talks about. But I definitely think they got to bring that back. It's not that it's gone anywhere, but just bring it up to speed here. We're giving Speedmaster Racing all this love and things. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. And maybe we'll get something new this week. I mean, we saw the teaser trailer. We're recording this on Sunday.
Right.
Omega
And that's supposed
teased
to be
a new
27th.
collection on 27th. Yeah.
All right. Well,
So we'll see.
while we're here, I mean, let's just get that cat out of the bag. You got any predictions, ideas?
Well, I mean, there was some leaked photos online that happened. And from what I can see from the renderings, it looked pretty cool. I don't know if anything's going to come of those designs, or if that's finalized designs, or if it's photoshopped and made to look like it was leaked. I don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean, this could be another one of those like the gold foil dial moon swatch that everybody put out. And
Exactly. Someone taking Photoshop a little bit
yeah,
too seriously, and they're like, "It's leaked. It's leaked. It's leaked." Like, okay, all right. Do we really know? No, we don't really know. But um, this is the 75th anniversary for the Seamaster collection. And from what I could see from the teaser video today, it looks like that's probably gonna be the focus. And at least one of the watches that we can kind of confirm in the video that was playing has a very cool case back. And it looks like it's gonna be like Poseidon with the seahorse monsters pulling him through the water with his chariot, which I think is very cool. It's a very strong motif on a case back, very indicative of the name Sea Master. But I'm anxious to see what it's going to be. I just don't know. What do you think? You got any predictions?
I don't. I they always surprise me because sometimes they go just straight up like conservative traditional design, as they did with the uh more recent Seamaster release that was just the blue. It sort of looked like the older Bond.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was
The
a
the
very
60th
right. It
anniversary
was a very
Bond watch.
conservative design, right? It wasn't really playing with it too much. It was very just true to what it was. And then every once in a while, they hit me with something sort of out of left field, and I'm like, oh, all right, I see what we're doing here. But definitely curious. It's always fun to check out an anniversary model because every once in a while they throw something nifty at you. Even
Yeah,
even the conservative brands will do that. So I'm waiting here, and I guess 20 some odd hours from now we'll find out.
yeah, yeah. We will find it, and it's weird because like Omega's been relatively quiet this year. I personally haven't had a lot to talk about just because I mean they haven't really done much. But like you said, we got the 60th kind of rolling into this year. We had the delivery of the Aquaterra shades, which are pretty much at most retailers now. Not maybe the entirety of the collection, but a few pieces here and there, from what I hear.
Right, we got the new Speedy Racing,
Speedy
Spyrate.
Super Racing, but that won't probably come out until the end of the year, even though it was announced. And then the
Yep.
World Timers.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, those I think those have been a hit. I've already seen people posting those in ads and things like that. So I think Omega is also getting better at delivering pieces, which I think is necessary and needed. But
More on that later.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the 27th is going to bring because, as you guys know, I'm a big old fanboy, and I've been waiting for this moment.
All right. So with all that in tow here, we can go back to Orient again.
Yes, yes.
No, they're also releasing some newer models of a fan favorite, the Bambino. I think missed opportunity here to extend the 38 millimeter line though, because these
Mm,
are the larger, I think 42 millimeter cases.
yeah, yeah. Miss.
Yeah. which is I don't want to say disappointing, but I would like to have seen them just done both, like put it in 42 and
I'm
38.
just, I'm just really waiting for the day where we get the Bambino crossover and we just get like a New York Yankees Bambino. Like can we just do that?
Would it be navy and white pinstriped?
Yeah.
And
Like
it would have to have
wasn't wasn't that
somewhere.
wasn't that
So it would have to have the number three, maybe like the only numbered index be a three, be
that
the
would be
three.
sick. Orient, I know you're listening. Let's do it. Let's just come up with the idea right now. You got an Arabic number 3, no date, navy dial or white dial with pinstripe. Call it a day. Call it the Bambino.
Yeah. So, and if those of you who have no idea what the hell we're talking about from foreign markets, Babe Ruth, his number was three. He played for the Yankees. He was known as the Great Bambino. If you've never seen The Sandlot, and if you haven't, God help you, go watch it. It's a classic,
It is a classic.
and it's a phenomenal summertime flick. So even if
Yeah.
you're not a baseball person,
It's not really a baseball movie as
no,
much
no,
as
it's it's
it's like
not.
a coming of age movie, but it's
Right.
very good.
Yes.
It's very
Yes.
good.
And it has baseball. It's centered around sort of the legend of Babe Ruth. Um, but it's a fun comedy. It's if you haven't seen it, just go see it.
Yeah, it's
It's like
good.
a generational movie of our upbringing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. Highly recommend.
So,
Legends never
anyways,
die,
yeah, that's right. Heroes are remembered, but
but legends never
legends
die.
never die. Classic. But anyway, so these Bambinos, these are the 42 millimeters. They have sort of an olive dial, a it's a blue dial, but it's not like the blue dial that comes on one of the previous generations. This one's a little more subdued. I guess it's more like a navy dial almost. You're getting a pewter dial with sort of a rose gold tone, and then a black with I guess rose accents, which again they've had sort of a model like this one,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
not quite like this. I mean the olive color is very nice. I'm a big fan of that olive color, but again I would have just liked to have seen this in the smaller configuration as well
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
from everybody I've seen who have interacted with that watch, they've said, "Wow, this is a very nice proportion." Because Orient, just I mean, as a brand overall, like that, not they make big watches, but their watches are always just like 1 or 2 millimeters, just a hair bigger than they need to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I
That
mean?
that's true. Yeah, especially because it wasn't the original Bambino. It was 42 when it first came out, right?
I think
And
so.
everyone liked it, but it was also at that time where people didn't really know better, and then they scaled it down, if I remember correctly.
Right. And then they even made a 36
Yeah, yeah,
and stupidly released it as a ladies' watch
yeah. That was
because
funny.
again, classic sizing, all that stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know
What
where
are
to
you
place them, but again, just
what are you gonna do? What are you
maybe
gonna
we'll
do?
see it. Maybe we'll get it eventually. But they're playing around with color and sort of trying to bring their tried and true lines into the limelight here again. So we'll see what they offer us. Again, none of them look bad. They look pretty good, but these watches are very much all dial,
Yeah.
and that's where you run into a little bit of trouble. Is that uh, there's not much bezel to cut into that space, so you're getting very big
Yeah.
dials. Um, the
And
one
it's
thing I
gonna look bigger than it actually is too. So it's already 42. It's gonna look even bigger.
Right, and it does have an aggressive dome crystal,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
do like. They do look very good,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it just doesn't help the sizing proportions. But yeah, so we're getting some new stuff from Orient, which is always good because I'm a big fan of the affordables, and we'll see kind of how that goes. But moving right along here, so this is one you sent me that was interesting because we had spoke about Art Deco watches sort of making their rounds again, and this one is
Yep.
from Alpina, and this is to
Vampina.
celebrate its 140th anniversary. And they are very Art Deco. They're sort of I guess they're rectangular. They're definitely not square. So they're rectangular case. They have the small seconds. Looks like you get black dial, white dial. Very, very handsome. It looks like they come on sort of these ostrichy leather straps, which
Yeah.
are really quite nice in a light brown. And yeah, they're just very, very attractive watches. I tried to stay away from saying the word Alpinas because it just sounds awful.
I
So
didn't understand where you're going with that until you actually said it. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds kind of a
I'll give you
kind of lewd.
a quick nonsensical story. So when I was in the eighth grade, a friend came over to my house after school, and I had a dog, and she couldn't walk up. We had like wooden stairs.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
She was pretty new to our family, but she couldn't get herself up the stairs because she was, uh, they were like polished wood, so it was like very slippery, and she was just unsure footing wise.
Yeah, yeah,
We were
yeah.
trying to get her to go up, and the only way we could do it was to use dish rags. Like we put dish rags over each one of the stairs, and she was like, "Oh, okay," so she could have some traction, and she eventually started to make her way up. Now,
Okay.
all right, stay with me here. In growing up Italian, we call those dish rags. My grandmother called them mappinas because that's what they're called, basically like little mops, mappinas.
Mm, mm,
But
mm.
again,
Okay.
sounds funny, right? So my
Yeah.
sister is pitching the idea to us, and she's like, "We have to put mappinas on the stairs."
Oh God.
And my friend is like, "What?" Now keep in mind, she's significantly younger than me by
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least
yeah.
5 or 6 years. She's like, "You got to put mappinas on the stairs, and she'll walk up." And my friend is like staring at her, deer in headlights. And
Oh my
I'm not picking it
God.
up yet because to me it's a normal word. My grandmother uses it all the time. I'm like, he doesn't know what that is. And he's like, dude, what is she telling me to put on the stairs? And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I understand now.
Yeah, it was
So
like we a little oversight here. Yeah,
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 but
we got it. We got
lost
it.
in translation, if you will. So
Yes, actually lost in translation.
so it's just
Jeez, that is hilarious.
saying Alpinas reminds me of that story, but just a fun flashback to the eighth grade for yours
Oh
truly.
my gosh. Wow.
But very cool watches, very very handsome, dressy, and in that Art Deco style we were talking about, sort of the what's we wanted to
Yeah,
make a comeback.
they're cool, man. They're cool, and I love the fact that they found like sourced original movements from what the article
Yes,
indicated. So
that's big.
there's only going to be a few of them made. They're all going to be basically LEs, so limited edition pieces. But I think this is very cool. I think it's a testament to Alpina really trying to do something different. Because when I think of Alpina, quite frankly, I think about sport watches. They do some crazy titanium stuff. They do a lot of funky, kind of dive stuff. This is very much the opposite of what they're known for today, but I like it. I think it's a welcome change. I think it's a great way to make this type of watch design accessible to other people because right now there's not a lot of tank style watches out there that are really accessible to the masses.
Yeah,
And I think this is a cool one. It's got an exhibition case back, it's manual wind, it's beautiful movement, and it's got some history and heritage. So I think it's cool. I'm
yeah.
excited to see it.
I think that's why people made a decent deal about the Oris when it came out, that square Oris, because
Yeah.
like that's rather accessible for
Yeah.
the style that you're looking for.
There's not a lot out there in the market that's like that. You know,
Yeah.
everyone's about divers and everyone's about sport watches, which totally makes sense. Believe me, I'm of that same mindset as well. But there's such an untapped niche to make classical dress watches available again, and I think it's coming. I think it's coming. I think people are starting to get a little dive watched out.
You gonna put that on our red hat, make classical dress watches available again?
Oh man, yes. Let's
No, I
do it.
agree with you. I agree. I think we've sort of seen this trend just continue on for what feels like a decade now.
Yeah, as long as I've been in the watches
Yeah, and it's
and
just
longer.
I don't want to say that it's due to fall off, but we're definitely due for a little diversity, I think.
I think people just want to shake up. That's it. We've talked about this kind of as a through line throughout this year. It's been a little flat. Like we get our little highs, and then it's immediate lows after that. And I don't know, maybe something like a big cultural change or something completely different offering would be very well welcomed.
Yeah, and part of that is probably pop culture and things like that play into that as well.
Hmm.
I'm sure you saw I had a little fun this week with the I was making a joke about when you don't know any of the words to the rap lyrics except for the part where they're going to talk about the watches.
Oh yeah. What's funny is
Yeah.
before I finished reading the caption, that was immediately the song I was thinking of. And then I saw the caption, I'm like, oh yeah, bro and I are from the same era. It was just funny.
Yeah, yeah, but no, it was fun. It was like everybody either privately or on the post kind of chimed in with like the one that they go, it like pops in their head and they're like,
Hmm.
oh, it was a lot of fun. But it's certainly been an area where watches have sort of blown up and shined. I mean, they always have. Like I can always think of even sort of some classic rap that always mentioned either a Rolex or what it might have been, but it's just it's definitely in the spotlight there, you know. Although what was interesting is somebody dropped a comment on it that said, and this is allegedly, I don't think it's true, but they said that Jacob and Co are the most named brand in rap, but I don't think that's true. I can think of like a million songs that reference Rolex.
I mean, yeah, I would say Rolex is probably up there, but you have to remember too, Jacob and Co. That's how the entire guy got started.
Yeah.
He was making bust
Okay.
down watches before
Jacob the
they were
jeweler.
called that. Yeah. And he was making them for, all these people. I think it was in Houston, actually, where his original store was. Like he was just like the rappers would come through Houston, all the what was that style back in the day? Chop and screwed.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like Mike Jones and all those dudes when they were coming through, they would go and they would buy his watches. Yep. So, for those of you listening who have no idea what Chop and Screwed rap music was, just go listen to some old school Mike Jones from back in the day, and you'll understand.
That was like a silly era, but it was kind of funny.
But it was good. Like the music was actually pretty good. You know,
Yeah, it was
it
like
had good beats to it and
yeah, like
everything.
if you don't know what it is, like they would like what's it called? Where like you slow down the voice a little bit so it like drags like almost like Kevin
Yeah,
McAllister in Home Alone where it like deepens the voice and stretches it out. Like they would play with that. They would do a lot of like very like synthesized beats like that and some
yeah,
like
and
heavy bass. It was a funny little era. Like
yeah, and they would do like
they'd
the
have the
like the
grill going,
yeah the
right? They
grills
all had
were
a grill. They'd all
were
have their
certainly there.
they'd
And
be
then they would do the with like the record scratching, like the I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but they did a lot of that.
but just honestly the whole style movement was really funny. Like they used to drive their cars with the doors open
Yeah,
and stuff like Ghost Ride
yeah,
their
yeah.
car.
Ghost Ride the Whip. Oh man,
Hysterical.
yeah.
They have the lights everywhere, tons of chrome, and it'd be like a slammed Cadillac. But just definitely a funny era of I guess Southern hip hop, but very very funny. But yeah, it was
I
a
liked it. I
fun post
liked it.
overall. But yeah, definitely kind of almost a faction of watch culture, if you will.
Jacob the Jeweler.
Yeah. All right, I think I only got one or two more here. Timex released a reissue of a World Timer, which is kind of neat. Something a little different. I mean, it's sort of a like a layman World Timer. I think it's got a rotating bezel that has cities on it, and otherwise
Mm-hmm,
it's just
mm-hmm.
a time only watch, but with a date. But very vintage. Cool case design, sort of in line with their course offering already. But a neat layout. Would you say that's a is that a tuxedo?
It's kind of like a tuxedo dial, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know
it
what to
doesn't. I
call
don't
it.
think it really applies here because it's not really like a dress
Right,
watch,
right.
but it's got a little bit of that vein of kind of like a tuxedo watch, black and kind of like white or gray on the outside.
Yeah, and you're getting a very 70s watch again. I mean, it is a 72 reissue, but you're getting sort of that trapezoidal date window and the sloped lugs and sort of a cushiony case and all the things we come to like about 70s watches, sort of what we're talking about with the bullhead. But sort of just a neat offering. I mean, this thing is going to be dirt cheap, but to be able to, spin your bezel and you got all the big cities on there. So just cool.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hmm. Other than that, I think that's all I got here. Oh, wait, hold on. Grand Seiko decided to put Mickey on the back of two different Birch models, and
Yes, yes, the Mickey Grand
that's
Seikos.
all I have to say about that. Like, where are we drawing the line? Where are we drawing the parallel here? How did this happen?
It's called money.
I know, but like Japan doesn't have their own
No,
people like characters put in the back of this. Like, where's
no,
the link to Disney?
it's called money.
Weird, just
Disney will take the money.
just weird. And it's I guess it's what for the 100th anniversary of Mickey.
Dude, I don't know. 100th anniversary of Mickey, 100th anniversary of Disney. Look, no offense to anybody that loves Disney. I'm not with you. It's a cult.
Dude, I have a cousin who goes like every single school break,
It
and I'm like, how do you just hand them like 100 grand a year?
Yeah, basically. That's
Because it is
exactly
not
what
cheap to go
happens.
there,
No, it's quite literally the opposite of being cheap.
and you can't go there unless you're gonna buy the fast pass or whatever the hell special. So
Yes.
like you're literally just getting drained of your money.
Yeah, absolutely. And then your kids want the $40 popcorn and the $30 sodas, and you have to go to multiple different parks and you passes for each park. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I don't know how anybody does it. Like, sorry, I just will stay my ass at home and buy watches.
So I mean, I'll just feed my family and
Yeah, exactly.
live.
Maybe it's a little selfish of me. Maybe I'm old school, but
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't know how people do it, but it's
I don't
insane.
either.
But there's definitely a very cult aspect to it. I actually have more than one cousin that go every single school break
Yeah.
with their multiple kids, and I'm like, who did you sacrifice at the altar to be able to
Yeah,
afford this?
I'll say this. Like, I have an old fraternity brother who listens to the podcast, and his wife is actually like a Disney like travel agent person. So they go all the time, but it's so she can stay up to date with the attractions and the events and all that stuff, and it's like her job. So she gets like discounted rates and all that stuff too. So I get it. Okay, you go. But yeah, and that just being in a place with like 50,000 people and there's like sweaty and trying to like fight each other to get on rides. It's just not my idea of a vacation.
So a buddy of mine told me the hack to do is if you're there with a female, you go and you tell whoever that they're fatigued and they're pregnant, and then they'll give you a wheelchair and it'll get you to the front of the line really quick.
That's evil.
It might be, but you know what? I mean, dog eat dog, I guess. It's either
Oh
that or
my
stand your
God.
ass in line all
I
day.
mean, I mean that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I can see it. Or you just don't go to Disney.
I mean, I can't lie. I don't mind Epcot or like MGM Studios or like SeaWorld or anything like that. It's the main park that is where you really run into
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
dread.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I'm with you. It's yeah, I don't know.
All right. So anyway, finally, we'll do a little topic here.
We've only been talking for like an hour.
Yeah, and this is one that's been floating around for a few days now, and it's interesting because I wanted to get your take on it personally because you have experience with the industry from sort of an insider perspective,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you can shed a little light on this as far as things go. But there was a story put out that was very polarizing, and it was about a gentleman who was promised an allocation of a watch,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Sort of the handshake where you're gonna spend money at my place and I will get you the watch that you want in time.
Mm-hmm.
And he wound up shelling out a bunch of money and the watch never came. And then there's a bunch of sort of he said, she said, as far as facts
Yeah.
go, as
Yeah.
to what happened with allocations or the ability to deliver on it. And I'm sure you've read it by now. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
what's your take on the entire thing?
Look, I know that this guy is suing. And it obviously is a big deal because I think the original story was broken on the internet, I think by a non-watch publication.
Okay.
So I think it was like a Forbes or like a Business Insider or something like that before the watch space picked up on it. And I don't know where the retailer is. I'm not going to name them. You guys can read the articles. I'm not going to put them on blast here on the podcast. But essentially, this retailer, at least the person suing this organization, is at least alleging or claiming that they were using a relationship building thing, which happens consistently in the industry, dangling the ultimate carrot at the end of the stick, knowing full well that they were losing their account status before his allocation would be fulfilled. So that's at least the claim that this is an alleged thing that they knew, and that they were proactively incentivizing to buy all of these other pieces in a predatory sense, in a misleading sense, thinking that that would guarantee him an allocation piece of this respective type of watch. And at the end of the day, they lost their account status. They were not able to fulfill his allocation piece. Now, here's the tricky thing about this, because from a lot of people that I've known over the years that have had different brands or have lost different brands, typically the brands are not very forthcoming with when they're losing their account status, if it
Interesting.
happens.
Interesting.
And the reason for that, as you can imagine, is the more shock and awe factor I can deploy upon you as a business owner, the less you have time to prepare yourself for that inevitability, right?
Right.
You can't get a legal team together. You can't try to, fortify yourself in your business. Like, you can't try to, transship all your stuff away. Or you can't just start
Lock it all in your
liquidating.
safe.
Yeah, you just can't start liquidating all of your assets. You know what I mean? Like, could you imagine if you're like a Rolex dealer and someone's like, "Hey, we're giving you 6 months before we close you." Basically, you could just start discounting whatever the hell you want to and selling it, because at the end of the day, you're going to lose your account anyway, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. So I think from my experience, the people that I've known that have ran, owned, or operated different types of jewelry stores and ADs, if you will, typically the brands will tell them right before they close them. And I know this from a firsthand account experience of somebody that basically, um, during one part of the busiest part of the year, and I won't specify exactly when, but one of the busiest parts of the year, they got a letter in the mail from Rolex. They had been a Rolex account for something like 60 or 70 years.
Wow.
Consistent business. Okay. They had a very established presence with the brand. They had a very established clientele for Rolex specifically. They had a build out with them, everything. And the owner told me a couple years ago essentially how this went down. He got a letter in the mail. Nothing is specified exactly what was going on other than that they were losing their account status effective immediately. So it was basically like a letter. Nobody shows up. And then the next day, before the open of business, an armored truck pulls up. They seized all his inventory, all of his allocation pieces, everything that they had as stock, because Rolex took it back. They had a general contractor show up and literally rip out their build out. And then anything that was there that was Rolex tools or equipment or signage or anything that was too big to haul away at that time had to be shipped back to the brand. And the brand cuts you a check for whatever they deem the value of those items to be. Okay. So let's say you bought a Rolex case back opener. Okay. When I used to work in retail, our Rolex watchmaker, his case back opener was $20,000.
What?
Now, is it really worth $20,000? No, but it has Rolex on it.
It's proprietary.
It's proprietary, even though it's like Bergeon. It's like the same stuff that everybody uses, but it was proprietary for Rolex, and that account had to buy that respective tool. So he told me, he's like, yeah, he's like, a case back opener or pressure testing machines, all of our polishing stuff. Whenever you have a Rolex store, if you have a watchmaker in that services Rolex or does anything with it, you have to have separate polishing rooms for all these different things, all these specific machines that they certify you can have, and you have to buy their stuff. You can't buy like auxiliary, like Amazon stuff or anything else to save costs. Like you have to buy what they tell you to buy. And they just take it back. And he said, like, they cut me a check for the polishing wheel, and it was like, $1,000, or and the machine was like 40 grand, like stuff like that. And they give you nothing. They take everything, they give you nothing. So typically when something like that happens, it's pretty immediate and it's pretty quick. So I can imagine that this respective retailer had no idea that they were losing their account status. And most accounts, especially when you've been servicing a brand for 50, 60, 70 years, you kind of exist with the blinders on that it'll never happen to you, because your relationship with your rep is so good. Your relationship with the brand is so good. You've done so well for them. You've been a great partner. They've been a great vendor for you. All of these things. And at the end of the day, it's just business. And some 20-year-old CEO or some person that graduated from business school 6 months ago is going to tell you that, you know what, you're no longer worth it. You're a line on a light item sheet that no longer is relevant, and we're just going to cut you out of business. And that's how it goes. And it's ugly, it's evil, it's completely immoral, but it's business. So I really don't think that this company, this retailer, or anything like that had any idea. There's no way they could have.
Interesting. So as opposed to maybe them having an idea or knowing it's coming down the pipe and trying to make as much as they can before that, and then maybe just saying, "Oh, well, not our fault," it got
I just
taken away from us.
I just feel like that's a stretch. I really feel like that's a stretch,
Okay, well, that's
because
why I'm asking.
I've never
I
heard of
wouldn't know.
anything like that happening personally. Now, again, I'm speaking from my own personal experience. I don't know what anybody else has experienced before. I don't know if there's any shop owners or anybody else that's listening to this podcast that can weigh in. And if so, please weigh in. But at least from what I know and the experience of the people that I've talked to that have been around the industry for decades and decades and decades and have owned family businesses, typically they just don't know. And the only way that maybe you might know something's up is typically if your rep stops talking to you. That's a pretty clear indication that something's up. They don't come visit, they don't do any trainings or anything like that. That's when you're kind of like, okay, where's my rep? Can't get a hold of my rep. I can't get a hold of his superior. Okay, now they're starting to ghost me a little bit. Something's wrong. Okay, they're probably going to close us. They're distancing themselves from you.
Yeah, this sounds a lot like getting dumped.
That's exactly what it is, right? You stop saying,
not getting your text back.
yeah, I
I
get
can't hang
texting, we're
out. I got something
ghosted.
stupid to do
Yeah, I got a
instead.
family thing coming
Yeah,
up.
yeah. I seen this one before.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all pretty straightforward, at least from what I've experienced. And again, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's literally just out of the blue, like in the case of this Rolex owner, or this Rolex store owner. He's like, I didn't even see it coming. I had no idea. I was completely blindsided.
Wow.
And that happens a lot. And I can imagine with a big brand like Patek, that's what would happen, because they have an image to protect, they have a pedigree to protect, they have, this brand history to protect, all of these things. They don't need this scandal and all this crap to get out. Okay. This is basically like, you know what, you're done. We're taking your stuff, we're gone. You're no longer selling Patek. And that's usually how it goes. It's not personal, it's business. And George Clooney gets on a plane with Anna Kendrick and he flies in and they fire you, basically. That's kind of how it goes, right? Did you ever see that movie?
I did.
Up in the Air?
Yep, up in the air.
Yeah. So shout out to all you who caught that before I had to explain what it was.
Is
Um,
that the one? That's the one where he has the interesting device he's building.
Interesting
Is that the
device.
same movie I'm thinking of? No, it's not the same movie. So there's another one with Clooney where he travels around a lot on planes, and I think he's getting around on his wife. And if you've seen the movie, I can't remember the name of it, but you'll know what I'm talking about. He's got a very interesting, let's just call it a novel pleasure device that he's building. It's clearly not the same movie, but it was the one I confused both of them when you were
Well, I
saying.
know, but like he does travel around a lot in this movie, and he is getting around with his wife in this movie too.
Maybe I'm thinking about the same movie, or maybe not. I can't. It was during a period where like I think I was in college, so God knows I was doing enough drinking.
Maybe you saw the porno version.
Maybe I downloaded the wrong version of this movie.
Because basically, like the whole purpose of the movie, as a complete sidebar, is him and Anna Kendrick travel around the country and they fire people. And George Clooney did it the old school way by doing it in person, face to face. Kurt, a little emotional connection in and out. And Anna Kendrick was designing this new high tech way of doing it by firing people remotely through the computer. And it was how basically both of their schools of thought didn't really work out in all scenarios and things like that. So it was kind of like an interesting movie.
Sorry, I'm thinking of Burn After Reading, I think. I think.
Oh, okay. Okay. I actually never saw that movie.
I
Brad
think.
Pitt's in that movie.
Yeah,
And so is John Malkovich.
I believe. But anyway, I think that was, well, I think I confused two movies, but I
Okay.
do remember Up in the Air, and I remember him and Anna Kendrick, but I definitely
Okay.
crossed the lines on those two.
Yeah, yeah, it crossed some streams. And you know that movie Burn After Reading inspired a Wiz Khalifa album, Burn After Rolling.
Yeah, again, different subject material, but yes, yes, correct.
We've gone all over the place this episode.
We
I kind of like
certainly,
it.
certainly have.
But I mean, again, getting back to the topic at hand, I just don't know if there's anything that this guy can really prove that says that all of this was predatory, unless he's got documentation, text messages, something along those lines that could indicate that they were misleading him in a way that now he can sue for damages. And it's not like the guy doesn't have the money because he's buying Pateks, multiple Pateks to maintain a relationship as AD. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not like he doesn't have the coin, at least per my understanding.
Yeah, I mean it's a scenario we've all kind of known and many cases joked about. It's just it's strange to see it play out this way,
Mm-hmm.
and you wonder sort of how common of a practice it might be, or especially going forward now, if this person, let's say, is granted, whether it be they're deemed, they're made whole, whether it be by cash or by having to produce something. I don't know what kind of precedent that sets going forward, and if that maybe will deter that sort of behavior or not, I guess based on the outcome.
Well, I mean that's going to be the tricky thing because let's just play devil's advocate. Let's say it does happen where he does win in court. Now, anybody who doesn't get XYZ specialty commemorative
Right.
piece
Anybody who's
watch.
been sort of promised a piece is now, the radar's up.
Yep.
Right.
And that could drastically change the industry.
Right. That could be dangerous because God knows how many people have already been formally or informally tempted by the carrot. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing too is like most of paddock pieces are application pieces. Especially things that are desirable. So you have to have a spend history. You have to have some type of application that you submit to the brand, and then you have to be vetted to get those pieces. So maybe that's what he's saying is his legal grounds for this kind of predatory relationship. And if so, if this happens and he wins, I mean, this could change Swiss law. This could
Right.
do all kinds of stuff. Now, do I think he really has a case? Maybe, maybe not. But I think the biggest challenge here is going to be proving without a shadow of a doubt, which has to be done in the U.S. in our court systems. There has to be, without a shadow of a doubt, proof that this was done with malicious intent as a way to defraud this person and remove them of their cash. And that is a big ask.
Yeah.
Okay. That's going to be a big challenge because, again, with that, you're going to have to prove text messages and documentation and type of, recordings and evidence and all these things that need to be there and convincing enough for a jury to side with you if this goes to court. Now, maybe Paddock settles, or maybe this retailer settles and Paddock gets them a watch, and then boom, it's done and over with. But then again, does what precedent does that set? Do we just sue everybody now until we get the watches that we want? I mean, that's dangerous territory there, right?
Certainly is.
So it's pretty crazy,
Yeah, slippery slope.
very much so.
But yeah, no, it'll be certainly interesting to see how this plays out over the next however long, and to see, I guess, what the outcome is. I mean, sometimes it's sort of, you get a judge's ruling based off sort of what knowledge they have, and
Yeah.
if they're not, they're not as privy to the situation sort of as we are, as we know it already, right? It's kind
Hmm.
of new news to them. They might have a severely different take on it. So it'll
Yeah,
definitely be an
exactly.
interesting thing to keep an eye on. And I'm sure we'll have up to date coverage as soon as it breaks. But
And we sound like we're like a real journalism outfit over here.
and
We're gonna have up to date coverage as soon as the news breaks.
now a word from our sponsor.
And now a word from our sponsor. Yep, that's right.
All right, my friend. You got anything else?
No, man, nothing unless you got anything to weigh in on that.
No, I honestly, I really don't know what to make of it, heads or tails, but I just wanted to get your opinion on it and sort of bring some of that to the light for the listeners. I'm sure they've all seen the story already, but
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that people haven't seen the story. I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, it's out there. People know about it. People have experienced it, talking about it. So, I mean, it's certainly there. I just don't know what this is going to do for the future of watch buying or trading or selling, because again, a lot of these things are done in a way that helps build people relationships to get specialty pieces. Um, but the caveat here is, did they personally guarantee him this watch by buying these specific pieces,
right,
right? And does he have any writing that indicates that that was to happen?
right.
Because that will be a big challenge for sure.
Yep, certainly.
But we'll see.
We will see. All right, folks. Next week is the big 8-8. We'll see all you then, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, all right, all right. Schmitty, you be good. Folks at home, see you then.
Take care.